October coming to you today. We're having all sorts of issues with YouTube today, and I'm not sure how well the stream's going to sound, but we're hoping that you're able to hear something and see something. Hi, everyone. T. Sibbs, Advanced Human, and Matty Lucci with you. And they are... wait a minute. I think I'm hearing something behind me. It's a bad version of O Canada, apparently.
Whoa. It's the best version.
I don't know if there is a good version of O Canada, is there?
Oh. Whoa. Where do all the best players come from? I'm sorry.
I'm just going to point out that is the best song when the Leafs win. Let's go.
How is that series going? I don't even know. I'm not even paying attention.
3-2, baby. 3-2. We won it last night.
Back.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, we're coming back. Come back, Toronto, baby.
Well, you I don't know. Even if you do, how much
Let's go.
How much further do you think it's going, really?
Oh, if we get past Boston, we can beat almost anyone. Boston's the hardest team here.
You think?
Yeah. On the East, anyway.
Yeah, in the East, they may be. They're a tough team.
Dude, I'll take the Leafs going to the finals. Are you kidding me?
Well, of course you will. There's a lot
Jesus
of guys
Christ.
in this league who are Leafs fans, which I find sad and pathetic. But
I'll go downtown and get drunk with the best of them.
Yeah, I think it's slightly better than Montreal fans, though, because they're just out of their fucking minds.
The difference is Montreal fans, if Montreal starts losing, they stop showing up. We don't care. We go anyway.
Yeah, you also throw your jerseys on the ice, by the way.
Only for enough jerseys because he's a Moose.
Really? Okay. All right.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the show. I don't know if you're seeing or hearing anything. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully you're at least hearing this show. And if you are, thanks for tuning in. We're all happy to have you here, and we are going to be talking playoffs. Obviously now, since it's all starting up tonight, you know, there's a lot of interesting. A lot of interesting matchups, and some where even the 1s and 4s are going to be pretty fun to look at. The Eastern North wound up having the Hershey Bears win out there, and they're going to take on the WBS Penguins. Well, Springfield and Lehigh Valley will play each other. Let's talk about the Bears and the Pens. The Pens actually won this season series 3-1. They won the last 3 in the 4 that they played, including 2 in April, where both games were 1-goal efforts by the Hershey Bears. So the Pens seem to have the Bears' number at least the last couple of games, kept them low in scoring, and got a couple of victories against them. With the Penguins, it's interesting because there's a lot of veteran experience here. You got Francie, you've got Pest, who is Cattywampus, in case you don't know Pest. Creasefire, Flesh-Eating Alien. Another guy in there who, is an excellent player is Jay Scott. That should help them get, if they get behind early in the series, if they're down a game or two, I still don't think the Pens are out of it just because of all that. Just because of all that experience. And then they've got Bad News and Crease and Net.
Toffoli, come on.
Yeah, I mean, a good combination of goaltending there. They're third in power play, and had 202 chances, which is quite a lot. That's a third by any team. So they've been able to play games or draw penalties where they're getting over 200 chances. And yeah, Tryhard and Toffoli, top 10 in scoring for these guys. And then on the other side for the Bears, they're 6th in time on attack differential, well over 86 minutes. Bottleman, number 25 in scoring with 73 points. 3-on-3 has 71 points. Mino and Squall both at 70. And then guys been playing well of late, Le Coupitan, who is 9-3-1, a plus 22. He was sent down to the Bears on March 22nd and has played well in the 13 games he's been in. And then in that Dirty Bird and Canuck for the Bears, Dirty Bird with 5 shutouts.
Both great goalies.
Yeah, both great goaltenders. So, the Bears team is a solid team, well deserving of the first place 100-point effort they put up there. But this is not your typical fourth place team with the Pens. They have a lot of good talent, a lot of good veteran talent. And as I always say, in a short series, anything is possible. And I think the Pens have a decent opportunity here.
Yeah, and Hershey's only been in the top for the last maybe 2-3 weeks, and before that they were pretty consistently third actually in that division. Pens were never in the top 3, I don't believe. They're always pretty much fourth, but they stayed with it the whole time, and I think they're going to give them a real run for their money.
Maddie, any thoughts? I mean, it's been a while since you've been in the East, but any thoughts about Hershey and then this really kind of a new look Pens team that's been kind of a new look since the middle of the season? They did some rebuilding, they did some good movement over there, and have been able to put out a good product, and now making the playoffs. But they're just as capable of beating Hershey as anybody, really, with this squad.
I definitely think at this point it's going to be really something that both teams are going to have to look at their lineups. It's the lineups that's going to make a difference as well. Like you said, there's a lot of depth in the Penguins and the aspect that they do have veteran players there.
Right.
I know that Hershey, like we said a moment ago too, like they were a little lower. They came up at the end of the season. I think that being in the first place seed also, they're going to have to look at it and put that aside. It's not about being first, third, fourth, whatever the case at this moment. Playoff starts, you got to put that all aside. Every play counts, and every little decision will matter at that point. I think it's going to be a hard fought battle. I think it might go even up to 7 at this point. Right. I mean, it might go back and forth very easily at this point. Just because of the fact that they're both good teams. They're absolutely great teams. And like you said, the Bear finished up on top and they ended up being there. They have the confidence to go in with that.
And again, Hershey, that East, as we look at the points again, that East, was bunched up for a while, and then Hershey started to make some distance. I think this division just started beating up on each other, and Hershey was the one who was able to step out of the fray and gain a few points here, a few points there, and pulled away in first place. But Springfield, 9 points behind, certainly made their effort towards the end and are playing really good hockey as well. And so it's these top 4 teams I think are a lot closer, and probably really are easily the top 4 in this division. Despite obviously we're looking at the records and the points, it says that, but I think those 4 teams, guys, are several steps above the rest of that division, and I think it kind of worked out the way it probably should have.
Yeah, it looks about right to me. I honestly thought that Rochester would end up in first in the Eastern North, but they had a hard last 2 weeks, and Toronto apparently didn't. So they got first, and it's going to be an interesting. I like the East just because it's almost like what it was last season, where it's kind of just mediocrity,
right?
Playing each other. But
right.
The Thunderbirds are who I'm actually guessing are probably going to win out in the East. I think it's going to be the Thunderbirds or Toronto. And then we'll see how that goes.
Let's look at the Phantoms and T-Birds matchup. The Thunderbirds beat the Phantoms in all 4 of their matches this season. We talk about the Thunderbirds, and one of the big reasons, Red Raider in net, and he came over from the Phantoms earlier in the season. We know about the quote unquote rage quit. And then the no-show in his next game, and then after that the Phantoms moved him away, and then he eventually got traded to the Thunderbirds, and he's just been phenomenal this season. 23-16-3, 84 save percentage, 2.19 goal against, and of course versus Lehigh Valley, he is 3-0. Not over 90 save percentage and a 1.2 goals against. He was traded away, as we said, in March. And what I've been seeing in the shout box lately, a lot of chirping going on from the Phantoms, trying to get under his skin. And Rader's a young guy. I believe he's 18, 19. And so I think his former teammates believe that, once somebody rage quits, you could probably beat on him in the shout box and get them all rattled up. And that's certainly what their angle is. They're trying to get him all worked up before the series starts. And, that sounds like something you'd do, Advance.
Yeah. I like that fun in there. It's important to get in their heads. Listen, I still stand by the statement that is, if you can really piss some people off without crossing the lines of LG, without getting yourself into a situation where you're going to get yourself banned or muted, you can just kind of mess with people. Though, if you get them mad enough that they remember you and they want to come after you in the game, they're like, oh, I'm gonna score on this guy. Or, oh, I'm gonna deck this guy. If he comes around, I swear, if he comes in my zone, I'm gonna get him.
Right.
That's exactly what you want. You want that. So because if you're good enough that you're able to do this, you can probably dodge them, and then you're opening it up to maybe a 2-on-1 or an opportunity to score. So I thoroughly stand by the statement of chirping is vastly important in NHL, regardless of whether it's online or in real life. It's a big part of hockey, and if anyone wants to take it out, you can try to grab it from my bare hands.
Matty, you're a good. Yeah, I was gonna say, Matty, you're a good guy. You're not advanced. How do you feel about all this chirping in the shout box pre-playoffs? Is that? I'm sure you get it, but is that something that you think is useless, or is it helpful at all?
I agree with Advance that you can get it under players' skins. I get that point. Some people will get butthurt and take it, and maybe if they even think about it for like half a second, that half a second in gameplay makes that difference, right? So it is a situation where it's a good thing, but it also can go against you. Somebody's gonna talk smack to me, and I'm gonna be like, use that as fuel to push myself even more and say, you know what, I'll make you swallow those words right back. So it can be good to a certain limit. We've seen it in even real NHL, you hear all kinds of hockey players chirping here and there, but at the end of the day, I don't think it does as much good, right? You're putting negative energy out there, and that negative energy that you're throwing out there usually will bite you in your ass. That's my lies. 2 cents in regards to that.
All lies.
You might be right.
All lies. Really?
All lies.
No, look, I'm not going to say that I've never done that, like in real sports, and sometimes in gameplay, I'll say that. But to point out somebody and put it on the shot box, it's not my style. It's not who I am as a person.
Right.
And if somebody would do that to me, fine, great, I'll take it. I won't even say anything. I'll let the gameplay show for itself. Mm-hmm. And that's the type of person I am. But it's like you said, he's a young goalie. They're trying to get at him. You know what? That's when his maturity level has to step up a little bit more. And that case, and just ignore it and say, you know what? I'm going to make this happen anyways. It's not about what people are saying right now. I'm going to put that aside, block it off, and just concentrate on my gameplay. And as a goalie, it is, people are going chirp, chirp, chirp. Look, his stats right now, he's doing great. So he just has to follow through, start the playoff. The playoff starts, it's a new season.
Right.
It's a completely new season. In this case, you got to think about it. It's a completely new season. And that's how I'm seeing my playoff debut as well this season as well. I had a terrible season during the year. You know what? Nothing to brag about, but when the playoff starts, that's when your little things you have to do proper. And that's it. It's not about, being a hero. It's not about anything of that nature. It's just about being there and being with your teammates and encouraging your teammates to make it happen.
Hey, just to go over some more of the players, Phantoms with, of course, Kornak and NHL Twister. Kornak with 58 goals, 37 assists. Twister.
He's like the Ovechkin of the NHL.
Yeah, and certainly an MVP candidate without question. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Twister has played well as well with 25 goals, 44 assists. On the Phantom side, John Kenny has been up there in the scoring second half of the season, is playing incredibly well, 22-4. Actually, 22-4-2. 53 goals, 52 assists. Filthy Puck at center with 30 goals. Lamoureux in net along with GB Hockey Boy. Both around 3.5 goals against. Save percentage under 80. So, my question is, will goaltending be the difference? And, if Twigster can steal a net in game when he's playing for the T-Birds besides Raider, is that enough? I kind of feel like goaltending might be a big part of the difference here. The Phantoms have some scoring, but I'm wondering about their defense and their goaltending in the end.
Yeah, goalies are important, and I've always agreed with you with that. They're one of the more, they're kind of important. If your defense isn't playing well, your offense is playing well, they definitely keep you in it, and they play the most games, so they're an important position. But I will say is that as long as you strategize your series the way you want it to, especially if you have the home advantage and it's more beneficial, then it doesn't matter if a goalie's playing, like your backup goalie's playing well or not, because you may use him as the throwaway game.
Right.
So if he wins one, oh, that's awesome. He stole the game for us, and that really benefits us. But as long as you keep to a strategy that you planned on and that you think will give you the best chance of winning, it doesn't really matter which goalie is,
right,
or how good the backup goalie is, or how good your defense is, depending on how you're playing it. Because you could have, somewhat decent defensemen, but not great ones. But if you put them with a really good line, you put them against the second line of the other team, and it's your first line, you probably should win it. So even though they're somewhat lacking, it makes up for it in playing a lesser line.
Right.
So,
and I'll get your picks at the end, unless you want to give them now. We want to go back to the Eastern Atlantic with Hershey and WBS. I got to tell you, I see a Penguins upset in 7. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about that game, that series?
I think the Penguins are probably going to win too.
Matty? I
would go for that too, just for their depth and their players.
Phantoms and Thunderbirds. I don't know if the T-Birds are going to sweep. I'll give it to them in 5.
I was going to say 5 too, but I'll say 6 just to give them a little more leeway. But 5 is probably more realistic.
And go ahead, Matty.
I would have said in 7.
Really?
I think the Phantom is gonna.
Okay.
It's gonna push. They're gonna push for it. They may not go for it all the way.
Right.
But I think they're definitely gonna push it till 7.
All right, let's over to the Eastern North. The Crunch and the Americans. The Crunch won this series 3-1 during the regular season. The last game was an Americans 4-3 overtime victory back on the 18th of this month. But there were 2 ECUs in that game for the Crunch. 3 out of the 4 games decided by 1 goal, so good matchups the whole season long. Many of the same players on both sides, I noticed, are still on the roster, have been on the roster for the whole season. So not a lot of turnover for both these teams. The Americans with Kachuk, who had 32 goals, 44 assists, touched my duff on left wing, 24 goals, 39 assists. K-Mac on right D was a +12, went 13-7-4. And then their 2 goaltenders, Westside Hockey and Primetime Fresh. Westside, 25, 14-6, 80 save percentage, 2.58 goals against, 4 shutouts. And Primetime's an interesting one. 22-20-2. He's been playing well of late. We've mentioned him on a few of the shows of late. Just over 79% in save percentage, 2.8 goals against. Primetime has played in all 4 of these games. The funny part is he's played in 2 games for each team. So he was traded, eventually came over to the Americans. He started out with the Crunch. So there's a player that, possibly the Crunch know relatively well, and maybe have studied up on him a little bit. And so they've gone ahead and maybe have a game plan for him. On the other side, though, the Crunch with J4, 33 goals, 47 assists, a +30. Billy O, who came over on multiple trades and finally wound up on the Crunch. He went 18-5-4 and just had a phenomenal season. MGML on defense, he went 17-7-3, a +19. Joja and Great Zilla in the net. Both these guys are under a 2.8 goals against and had winning records. So, I like goaltending on both sides here, Matty. I think both teams have solid goaltending. I wonder if the Crunch will have any kind of edge of knowing a little more about prime time because he was with them earlier. I think both teams also have plenty of offense. Maybe I give the edge a little bit to the Crunch offensively.
I would too.
Yeah, and I think that might be where the Crunch might have the advantage in the end.
I think as well. I think the Crunch is probably going to take this one. They might take it in 6. I would say. I know I've played with them as well. I've played with Axgall, King, Billy, outstanding skill. I got the pleasure to play with those guys and Joja as well. Me and Joja don't always see eye to eye, but I still find he's an outstanding goaltender. And also on their defense, man, Honcho, he doesn't have many points this season, but in terms of goals, I don't think he has a goal this season, but he's a good, steady defenseman. He plays his role and he knows where to be at. I think they're a good team and they're gonna make the Americans run for their money. That's for sure.
Advanced?
Man, I feel like this one's just a kind of David versus Goliath situation. I think the Marlies are going to pretty much just destroy the Crunch.
You got the Americans.
Not the Crunch, the Devils. Yeah.
Well, we're talking Crunch Americans right now.
Oh, well, then I think the Americans are probably going to win that one.
Okay.
I've looked at them. I've looked at them both. I've done the research on both of these.
Right.
Both of these matchups, and I think it's going to stay pretty even with what the standings actually were for the season.
The part of it that's going to be that I kind of think is interesting is we're just letting the folks look at the record there, the standings, and how that wound up. The Marlies wind up winning this one by 9 points, and the Americans had taken over and then hit that skid in week 9 and did okay in week 10. They're not playing well leading up to the playoffs, and I kind of think that's where the Crunch have a benefit in that have the Americans been able to turn that around enough and have enough confidence going into the first week of the playoffs to be able to say, let's put that behind us. We know how good we are, and we can play with any team, and we should be able to beat the Crunch. Can that happen? In my mind, I think the Crunch take this in 7 games, but
wow.
But I think it's I think it's going to be one of the better battles we'll see in the playoffs.
I do not think that. I know that the Americans, they're actually a team that practices.
Right.
I know K-Mac is good. I know D-Mac is good. I know that their defensive core can really shut people down if they choose to, if they decide to play the trap or they decide to really focus on defense and forcing the team to make mistakes and then dancing the offensive zone, they can really put a hurt on you. And I'd say they're probably going to win it in 6.
I don't agree, but hey, that's why we're here, right? I do like the Americans. Death Machine. I played with him different season 6-9. I got the pleasure to play with him as well. A few of those guys, but I don't think they're. Yeah, it's a big word, hey.
He's hitting a knock on 6-9 there. I think
Yeah, that's. Hey, look, it's his business. Like I said, I'm here for positive. I'm not here to knock no one. But I don't think so. If you think about it, the Crunch, what they did this season, they were a team about to lose everything, and they had to change their management. And ever since they've done that, it was 3 weeks ago or something. They turned it all around. They made it up, and they're a different team. So I'm telling you, I think Crunch has a. I don't think they're going to go all the way, but I think they're definitely gonna push the Americans out. No question about it.
Let's move on to the Devils and Devils and Marlies and talk about that series. The Devils winning this one 3-1 during the regular season. We'll give you a look at the Eastern North as well, so you can get a look at where they wound up. The Marlies struggled with the Devils, as we said. The Devils won the last 3 meetings. Shut out the Marlies twice, both 2-0 meetings. The last meeting was a 4-1 Devils win with Crocodile stopping 21 of 22 shots. The
Wow.
Devils and Croc 28, 18, and 5, 81.4 save percentage, 2.59 goals against, and 4 shutouts. On offense, you've got Tai Chi, Davey, and Flyer Zap all putting up some good numbers. Flyer Zap hasn't played too many games with them, but he was killing it down in the CHL with the Armada. He was traded from the Heat to the Devils on March 15th. And has been a solid part of this team, playing well. A nice add-on by the Devils later on in the year. And so, they've got 10 of their skaters with 14 or more games played in the AHL this season. So they've got some guys who may not have a lot of experience, but Flyers is one of those guys who, even without a lot of games in the AHL this season, has played well. And we mentioned Croc playing the way he has, and has been a solid goaltender back there for the Marlies. Soul to Cole, Deer Hunter, and Jay Morris are the line that's been really, really successful. Soul and Deer both 17, 8, and 2, a +40. Soul is 10th in scoring in the league. Deer Hunter 13th. Sandman on defense 19, 6, and 2, a +29. Fishy Dangles 28, 18, and 7. 2.67 goals against and 3 shutouts on the season. He's had up and down weeks, and but is a solid goaltender there. But I feel like the Devils do have the edge in goaltending. I think the Marlies have the edge in offense, and if everything's going well defensively for the Marlies, if Sandman is playing his game, if Barikov is not creeping up on offense and is playing the really good defense that he's capable of, I think the Marlies should win this one. But man, this is another series where I could see the Devils causing a problem and giving the Marlies fits in this one. I'll wait for my prediction when you guys are done, but I don't know. I this one I think is going to go 7, and
Gonna be a coin toss.
It is a coin toss, I think, almost.
Yep.
I don't know. I kind of feel like Croc in Game 7 would give the Devils the advantage. I think I'm going to say it now. I think the Devils are going to win in 7.
7. They also have Fishy Swa too. Shout out to Fishy Swa. He's a guy that I've played with a lot too. He's a great tendy as well. So I know Croc is probably going to play most of those games 100%. I think their defensive core will hold them as well. I mean, if you look at it, I'd say maybe Toronto in 6, but like you said, it is a coin toss. It could go up to 7 easily, very, very easily.
I think in this game, unless your whole team is playing a defensive game, offense is probably going to overpower. Mm-hmm. And just based off that, Toronto does have a better offense. They have more depth for sure. Their defense is I'd say, close to being on par. And their goalie's probably not as good, but if your whole team's not doing what they need to do, you're going to get caught in cross crease. You're going to get caught on backdoor plays, and there's only so much your goalie can actually help. I'm probably going to say this one's in 6. But this isn't the same 2 teams that we saw last season in the playoffs. I don't think the Devils are gonna play the same way where they just had a complete shutdown trap. I don't think they're the same team. They're not going to do that. And I think Toronto's going to be able to come through.
How many games?
Probably
7
6. Probably 6. It's tough there because when you call it in 6, that means they have the hometown advantage and they got to pick the lineups. So 7 makes more sense, but I think they might actually be able to sneak one through in 6, depending on how they strategize their games.
What was your pick, Maddie? I don't know if I heard.
It was 6 in Toronto for Toronto.
6 for Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's head on over to Western Central and talk about a couple of interesting matchups, and let's start with the Wolves and the Moose first because as we
Feel
take
bad for the Moose.
we'll take a look at the Western Central and how that wound up, and Rockford really turned it on and had a damn good last couple of weeks of this season, and got to 104 points. There's a team that that turned it around, made some moves, improved what was going on with that squad. And, I tell you what, you've got to give them a ton of credit for making enough midseason changes to build on what they had and get to where they were in fourth place. The Admirals faltered big time. As you see, they lost 6 in a row, and Rockford took that fourth spot. But, of course, now they're going to take on Iowa. We'll talk about that in a second. But let's talk about the number 2 Moose and the number 3 Chicago Wolves. The Wolves maybe not getting a lot of love because Iowa and Manitoba have been battling back and forth for first place all year long. But the series between the Wolves and the Moose was 2-2 this year. The last game was a 4-1 Moose win back on the 18th of April. Look at the season matchup numbers, and they are pretty close. Time and attack, the Moose were third in that. The Wolves were fifth. In penalty killing, the Wolves were first. The Moose were second. Goal differential, the Moose were second. The Wolves were third. So, a lot of the key elements of the team numbers very much the same. And so, again, 2 teams that are pretty formidable. And, you look at the Moose, they're 6th on the power play this season, 1st in shot differential, 2nd least penalty minutes. And then you got guys like Brian Adores Liz, Lobo Dangles, Bertone, a guy who, those guys have been getting a lot of pub, but Rocky Grat, 31 goals, 38 assists, a plus 66. And then they get Max 20 sent down. And in the 4 games he's played, 7 goals, 5 assists, a plus 14. He came down April 14th. So then you talk about defense with Pitcher, Bob the Ostrich, Jay Layden, Pezdemic, Killer Sound. All these players are a plus 21 or more. Dr. Nasty and Arch Mangus in net. Nasty, of course, 36, 10, and 3, 80, almost 86 save percentage, 1.54 goals against, and 13 shutouts.
Yep.
Arch Mangus, his number's not so good. 14 and 1, 86.2 goals against, save percentage, 1.23 goals against, and only 2 shutouts.
That's terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
13 shutouts. Is that a record?
I gotta believe it is, but I didn't look it up. So but it has to be an AHL record. I would think so. I think you're right. And we saw this happening in the playoffs last year with Nasty. We saw how good he was, but he got a full season this year. And this goaltending tandem with Nasty leading it, and this defense and this offense, any lesser team would get creamed in 4 games. The Wolves, on the other hand, they're 6th in shot differential. They've got Gumba, Datsukian, Tender Sticks, all on offense, 7th, 14th, and 15th in scoring. Phillies MVP, a plus 47. Samurai Sakai, plus 40. Gaming Rendo, plus 48. Glexa, plus 62 on defense. And then you got Jason X and Vatan Rules playing great goaltending there, above 80%. About 2.3 goals against for these goaltenders and 10 shutouts among them. At first I thought Dr. Ness and Arch Mangus, so maybe they're the best duo. And then you look at Jason and Vatan's numbers, and I don't know who the best goaltender duo is, but we've got a lot of good of everything on both of these teams. I don't know if I see a weakness on either one of them to pick on, quite honestly.
I feel bad for the Wolves, and they're a very good team. And I think when they're talking in their team chat, they probably think they can win it because they're a very good team. And when 2 very good teams play each other, it's,
Oh, for sure.
I think the Moose have more depth. I think the Moose's defense can hold together a bit better. And goalie wise, they're pretty even. So I'd give that a toss up, but I'd say Moose and I need to know how they're going to play it. Because they're smart when it comes to strategy. Like when they played the CUDA last season.
Right.
So they were really good at what they did. And I don't know, man. If they're able to pull it off, maybe I give it like 5 to 7, somewhere 5 or 7. I don't know if they'll take it in 6.
Maddie, what's your opinion on
I
this?
think they're going to take it in 5. I think they're going to take it in 5.
Who?
The Moose is going to take it in 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No disrespect to the Wolves. I don't. The Moose is too powerful right now. They have too much firepower. Their tendies are playing outstanding. That's what I think.
I'm going to say the Moose. I don't know if they could do it in 5, and I don't think they'll do it in 6. I just don't. I think when you give Chicago and their management a chance to decide who's going to play where, I don't think you're going to beat them when they have the matchup. But I think Game 7, the Moose will take this series. The other matchup in this Western Central are the Ice Hogs and the Wild. Now, this series went 2-2 during the regular season. 2-1 Wild win on April 10th is the last matchup. Every game they played was by 1 goal. 3 of the 4 were in overtime. Most stats, when you look at the games against each other, most stats are pretty even. The Wild getting about 9 more minutes of time on attack total, but that was the only difference I really saw in the numbers between each other. Power play on the season, the Wild were first with 30.4. Ice Hogs were 20th with 20.6. Penalty killing, Wild third, 82.6. Ice Hogs 27th with 74.2. And time on attack, the Wild were number 1 on that, with the Ice Hogs being 9th in time on attack. So the team numbers look certainly in favor of the Wild. Of course, we've been talking about Beast forever. Tommy, Matt the Cool Cat, all season long. Beast at plus 74. Tommy at a plus 75. Tommy with 68 goals and 50 assists. And then defense, Mass Static at a plus 65. C Mike 17 at a plus 46. C Mike going 18-2-1. 3 other D-men over a plus 25. And then you got Jones and Leafs in net, both of them with 6 shutouts on the season. Both just over 2 goals against average, both at around 83% save percentage, both over 30 wins this season. So, again, you look at this Wild team and you say, how do the Ice Hogs have a prayer? And, they've gotten goals from Devoy, and Dr. Bench Press have been their leading scorers this season with 21 and 29 goals, both at a plus 12. Their defense, I think, has been more of the force for this team, with Ussie and Poochtown and Land Creature all at a plus 37, 27, and 24, respectively. While Stajan at Ron Right D with a plus 11, Throw Punch at a plus 13. I think the defense is going to be a key for Rockford. They're going to have to play out of their minds if they're going to stop this Wild team. And any of us have played those front lines know how much of a nightmare that is. Mallyman in goal and Steven Seagal, both not great save percentages, but will that goaltending, will Mally be enough in there? He needs to win his games, and then Steven Seagal, who's only has 13 games total under his belt with this team, will that be enough goaltending for them? As much as I'd like seeing an underdog advanced, I just don't know how Rockford is going to have enough defense to shut down the Wild front lines that have just been dominating everybody.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close. You're about to get your dick kicked in. This is going to be a really unfun series for you, and the Wild are just going to come through. They're better. They're substantially better offensively. Defensively, they're also better, even though I've played with Ussie and he's very good. I've played with Poochtown. Once Poochtown got his internet fixed, he's been very good. It doesn't matter. That's maybe one line. And you might be able to sneak one in, 5 or 6, probably 5, if not even a sweep. 5. But I hope not a sweep. And the Moose are just gonna do what they do, or sorry, the Wild are just gonna do what they do. That's my prediction.
they are going to go wild on him. I'm sorry. It's no disrespect to the Ice Hogs.
Mm-hmm.
From what we see here, it is what it is. I mean, when you have that kind of power force up top, and it's not only that they could score, they'll get the penalties, they'll stick in your zone, they'll make you, make those mistakes, and they'll hang around until you do. And if you don't pressure them, then they'll make a quick pass and score. They're just too good. I'm sorry. The Wild is that type of team this season. I mean, you're looking at Go Hawks, Beast, Tommy, Matt the Cool Cat. Come on, they're powerhouse.
We didn't even mention Go Hawks too, who 42 goals, 40 assists, a plus 44.
You don't need to.
You don't need to. That's what he does.
Well, I need to because he's bitching about it in the shout box. So I want to make sure that we get his stats in there so he doesn't, because he is a bit of a psycho. So I want to make sure he's not upset with me.
You don't want him to show up at your house, do you? Just kidding.
So yeah, I really would love to see an underdog upset of the Ice Hogs, but. Man, I got to give it to the Wild in 5. I give the Ice Hogs 1 game. I think that's maybe if they can catch the offline, they might have a shot.
And you know what? It's for them to show us wrong. I mean, we're just here to give our thoughts on that. But right. It's that hill is so hard to climb right now. I wouldn't like to be in their shoes, that's for sure.
Now, there's no good team for them to play in 4th place. You either play the Wild, the Moose, or the Wolves. I think no matter who wound up in 4th place, it's like getting on the other side of the other side of the bridge, only to have a mountain lion ready for you. So it's not an envious position. Let's move on to the Western Pacific. We've got the Barracuda and Rampage taking on each other, and then of course the Roadrunners and the Reign. Let's talk about the Roadrunners and Reign first. Ontario, as you see, wound up in 1st place, 122 points in that Western Division. The Roadrunners got in on the last night. We were able to bring you those games live, and you're able to see a good Roadrunners team fight their way. San Diego almost getting there, and Bakersfield struggling at the end, could not catch up, could not stay on top of that 4th spot, and so Tucson comes in and takes it over, and they played well. Unfortunately, Ontario has beaten them 3 out of 4 games this season. The last one was a 6-1 Reign win on April 16th. 2 games were decided by a goal, 1 in overtime. Power play, the Reign are second. The Roadrunners are second in power play, and that I found interesting at 29.6. The Reign 21st in the power play. Penalty killing, the Roadrunners are 15th, the Reign 18th, and time on attack, the Reign second at 227 plus minutes. The Roadrunners are 20th with a minus 48-45. So it's again a good offensive team in the Reign. And what can the Roadrunners do to offset that? They've gotten great production out of Hockey Girl this year with 23 goals, 39 assists, and a +9. The only forward with 12 games or more played on that team that has a plus-minus that's in the positive. So, again, just a bit of a struggle there. They've got Hurrah with 8-4, 17 goals, 15 assists, a +10. He's bounced around a bit. Started with the Caps, moved around several times through all three levels of PSN hockey, and then wound up with the Roadrunners. So we'll see whether or not what he's been able to do so far is going to be enough. And then, of course, they've played Frost 17 a few times this year as a late sign-up, able to ECU him, but 1 game per playoff series, is that going to be enough? Is he going to be able to make enough of a difference for them? He's a solid veteran who's been around, who's run teams, who has shown a lot of good quality play, but only getting 1 game a playoff series, not sure if that's going to be enough of a help for them. Boss Ross and Boss Ross on right D, a +22. Asper and No Peace here are the 2 goaltenders with positive records, just a couple of games over 500 on both of them. both around 77, 78 save percentage and a little over 3 goals against. So not an awful lot of positives to look at with the Roadrunners. But then you've got the Reign with J-Rowe, Raj, Rangers, Patty Ice, John Bond, Melanson on defense with String King and John Bond. So, great production out of J-Rowe and Raj, Rangers, both plus 43 and plus 39. And then the goaltenders, IC before UC and Anderson, both with, over 24, 29 wins for both of them, over 80% save percentage, around 2 goals against, and 5 shutouts between the two. It just seems like every category in this one advance is checked in the favor of the Reign.
Yeah, the Reign are probably going to win this one. There's no real way to sugarcoat this one. They're a better team. The Roadrunners they're a mediocre team. They'd probably do better in the Eastern Division. They might have more of a chance, but even then, I don't know if they'd go too far. The Reign are probably going to take this one in 5, I'd say.
Maddie?
I'd say in 6. I think that I think they're gonna try to at least the process to make a run for it. At least I hope it for them. I don't think they're gonna manage to pull it off against the Reign. The Reign's been reigning all season on teams, so I mean it is what it is in this case.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like the Reign are they're poised for the next round. They really want to take on the Rampage, and just as long as they don't look past this series and they take the Roadrunners seriously, and I've seen this happen in this league too many times. The first game, they blow out a team, and then the next game or two, they don't take seriously enough, and they find themselves behind the 8 ball. So if the Reign play tonight and send a message and win 2 decisively, then I think they have this one without much of a struggle. I'm going to say the Reign in 5. I kind of think that's where it winds up. And the Roadrunners, good run at the end to make the playoffs. Just don't think they have enough to get past the Reign. Let's look at the Barracuda and Rampage. They went 2-2 against each other this season. A 4-3 Cuda win back on April 15th. Goals, shots, and time differential firmly won by the Rampage in their season matchups. On the power play, the Cuda were 9th. The Rampage were 15th for the season. Penalty killing, the Cuda were 5th, the Rampage were 9th, so they're not far away from each other. Time on attack, big difference for this Rampage were 4th with a plus 163. The Cuda 19th with a minus 36 minutes. So the time on attack there may tell the difference in this series. The Cuda have Tickle, Mysakic, Roller Backwoods up front with some... Yeah, with some really good numbers. Ajax back on defense with a plus 24, and then their goaltenders Kickapoo and Wacht, who both have 3 shutouts each, both at about 81 save percentage and 2.5 goals per game. The Rampage on the other side, though, you got Perfect Skills, Codester, KOs, all with fantastic records this season. Skills with 52 goals. Codester had 34. Olds had 36. And then on defense, Atbood, who went 19-7-1, a plus 40. Full Throttle on defense, a plus 36. 4 of the D-men with over a plus 23. And then their goaltenders, NJ's very own and Escape, who both are about a 2 goals against, 81, 82 per save percentage. And NJ's very own has been incredibly hot of late. So, to me, even though the Cuda have had a solid team all season long, they've ebbed and flowed up and down, second, third place here and there. I just think San Antonio has been playing so well the last third of the season that I don't know if the Cuda have enough to stop the onslaught, and then the goaltending and the defense for the Rampage have been just incredibly solid. I kind of feel like the Rampage will win this one, and man, I hate to say 6 games because I think it could be tough for them to win it in 5. But I'll say Rampage in 6.
Ouch.
Oh, I'm going to let Maddie go next.
Okay.
Look, it's kind of hard for me to say that, but I'm saying Barracuda in 7. I think we're going to give them their run for their money. I mean, they're a great, awesome team. New Jersey's very own has been an absolutely outstanding goalie. They have a great core defense here. As you said, Abud, we had spoken to him about him a few times and all, but I got to go with the team I play with on this one. And I think we have a lot of composure in our team. And, when I look at it, Robo, I've played with him several times, and, by my dogs, GD Fry, Freeze, Cam, Rolobacks, Ajax. I mean, those are even Casso. I mean, all those guys are great guys. I have to go with my team on this at 7. Just because I'm a team player and it is what it is. I mean, we have to make it. I said it at the beginning of the season. That's what I wanted to go to playoffs. I'm in a playoff team. I have to stick with my guns, or else I would be staying with what I have no choice. That's what it is. I see us coming through with this one, stealing one. It's going to be a little upset. I know they're a powerful team. Rampage has been killing it all season, but I got to go with my team on this one for sure at 7.
Well, you're wrong.
Hey,
listen,
that's your call. You know what? The games will be shown at that moment.
I'm not a man that feeds around the bush. I tell it like it is. There's good people on both sides, but the team is outclassed, and that's kind of how it's going to go. I think
how many games? There was a poll too, and I think it was like 17% that we would win. So I understand that. Sorry,
that's probably about accurate. You guys snuck in. You're an okay team. There's some nice people in there. Tickle My Sakics, he's a pretty good guy. There's some good people here, but they're not good enough to. You don't have the depth to win it. I don't think you have the defensive depth to do it, and I think you're just probably going to lose it in 5 or 6. You may even get swept, but I hope not.
That's your opinion, my dude. I'm gonna leave it on that, and that's fine.
That's where you can leave it.
Fine. Yeah.
Well,
you put your buck on it, though.
You know what I do like about the Coot? I have been watching Kickapoo and Walked a lot. Walked has been, doesn't have the best win-loss record, but his numbers, 81.3 save percentage, 297 goals against, and 3 shutouts. He's still a damn good goaltender and has played well. Kickapoo of late, I've seen a few of his games. He has been phenomenal. So, this could be a case where the CUDA can, if their goaltending is incredibly solid, could wind up being a real problem for the Rampage. And look, anything's possible in this league. We've seen some teams who were locks to win, who haven't, and that's always a possibility. And with again, I kind of feel like it's a little bit like the real game. If your defense and goaltending is playing well, then I think. I think that can be a real deciding factor, especially game after game. If you can keep on frustrating a team, it's one thing when you lose to the Wild, horribly, and you get to go away and not play them for a couple of weeks again. But when you have to play a team who beats you pretty well and who stops you defensively, then you got to go back and play them again and again. That's where the psychological advantage could come in. And that's why I think defense is so important. If you get a team on tilt because they can't score, they could really wind up having a major issue for the rest of the series and wind up just getting on themselves about it. So to me, goaltending and good goaltending and solid defense can really help you in short series just because of the frustration level that could build up so quickly within just a day or two.
Have you ever
seen? Agree on that.
Have you ever seen a guy who's been drinking? You're out at college for the weekend. They're on a lake, and the guy's been drinking. And he's like, "I gotta go take a piss." And you see him walking down to the lake. Who has a cottage knows that anywhere lake it's windy. That's kind of like what Cooter doing here. You're pissing into the wind.
I was wondering where you were going with
that. You're gonna get the job done, but you're gonna make a mess. And at the end of the day. You're not gonna come out of there looking good. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much how that goes. They're gonna lose it, and they're gonna be full of pee on their clothes.
Ouch.
So that's
Well,
all.
that's your opinion.
Yeah, that's all the
all it
teams. Yeah, I still stick with the Rampage on this one. I just like the way they're playing late in the season, and so we've talked about. We're not going to speculate rounds down the road. We'll do that next week when we get through the first round of the playoffs. They start tonight, of course, and we're gonna wrap the show up soon. But I want to take a few minutes. Just to talk a little bit about the whole Josh Gordon thing that went on this week. Just to let people know, it's something that's been going on for a while, and it's been going on since the charity games and the work that V Gaming was trying to do on his channel. And I was asked to help out with that on the day that those charity games first ran. I just didn't have the time because of work, so V Gaming wound up helping out. And I was trying to get Josh on to talk about his quote-unquote illness. And in the midst of all that is when I started talking to V Gaming a little bit, probably a week or two after his charity games. And I wanted him on with me to talk to Josh. And then he started to tell me about all his concerns about Josh, about understanding whether or not any of this was really happening. He thought he had done enough early on to say he knew it was for real. But he apparently didn't do enough. None of us did enough to really vet out whether or not what Josh was saying was real. We heard rumblings about it in other leagues, and we started to really question it. And that's what's been going on the last couple of weeks, up until what happened this week with everyone finding out about it. V Gaming was doing a lot of work trying to look into exactly what was going on and trying to contact people in his family. And he was getting somewhere, but not getting a lot accomplished. And thankfully, League Gaming did find out more about this. Brody and Triss found out, and they got involved. And you saw Brody's post about all this and what they've done and how they've contacted the family. And so they've gone ahead and they're working with League Gaming to try and help get the money refunded. And we'll see where that goes, whatever the case may be. A lot of people donated. I donated. I didn't do due diligence in vetting this out fully. I figured that the people who were trying to get me involved in a charity game had done that before me, and I was wrong. So that was my mistake, was believing that it had all been taken care of. So, if people were led on by anything that I said to try and help Josh out, at the time, I apologize for maybe leading you down the wrong road, but a lot of us were, and hopefully we all learn a bit of a lesson from all this. And the big part of it is really vetting all this stuff out before we jump into it. But I want to start with Maddie first on what he felt about this whole situation and about how LG handled it, and just your general thoughts about what you read this week about this whole situation with Josh and the fact that we wound up having somebody tell us that they were dealing with possibly a terminal issue that just wasn't true at all.
I mean, it's just things you don't do. It's not something you should do at all. There's people that go through situations in life and they're not laughing matters. And, it sucks that there's situations that happen of that nature. And, the league was trying to help, somebody that was going through something. And it sucks that, we live in a world that, online you can do and say anything and sometimes get away with it. And it's not, it's not the league's fault. It's no one's fault. Except obviously the person that created the whole story, but it's a situation which it sucks for everybody else. Cause you people went out of their way and, spent their hard-earned money, to help out somebody that was going through something, and it ends up being of a situation that's like that. It's right. It's not fun to hear. It's not a pleasant situation. And, I hope that at the end of the day that everybody, will get their finances back. I think I had read that he apologized as well. At least he took that responsibility to do so. But I mean, I'm guessing obviously that there's going to be a ban and such things like that. Obviously, the league has process, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's a sad situation. It's not a fun situation to hear. But it's things that happen, and I mean, like you said, it's you were just trying to help out somebody that was going through something in a situation, and like, I think the morality of the league to help out somebody of that situation was a good thing. It ended up being a bad scenario, but the good thoughts were there, and that's what really matters, is that the league help out and
Right.
process that. That's a good thing, but it sucks that it ends up being a situation that somebody lied about it. That's not really cool. Advance.
The sooner we put this behind us, the better, and just kind of forget about all of it. You never want to forget about the situation itself of so that it doesn't happen again. But
Absolutely.
who it was and just the whole ordeal. It's better just to put it behind us. He did get a ban. He got a 3-season ban. That can't be bought out. I talked to Donald about it a little bit, and because I thought he deserved maybe a little bit more, but McDonald has his reasons, and I've never, we've always had our own little minds when it comes to it. We've never really seen eye to eye, but I see where he's coming from his ban, and it makes sense to me. So I didn't pester him about it or anything like that. It just made sense. So that was it. It's a bad thing to do. And if you're someone that has had someone lost from cancer, it sucks, but you just remember that it's just a kid. He's 18. He's young. 18-year-olds do dumb things sometimes, and you just kind of look past it and forget it happens. And more likely than not, he probably won't come back to this league anyway. But if he does, he does, and that's kind of how it goes.
As much as I'm disappointed with the fact that there was a lie told, and certainly people donated money. Nobody, there may be one or two people who donated a lot of money and are concerned about that, and maybe really couldn't afford to have done that. But I feel bad for that. Hopefully, we get that money back. It's certainly disheartening to hear someone use an illness like cancer as a way to gain some attention, but it could be that he felt he was, he was so behind the eight ball and trying to meet anybody, and maybe felt so horrible about it that he went to that extreme. No excuse for it, obviously. As for, you can't say it's justified in any way, shape, or form. It's just that you never know what's going on in someone's head, and there could be a lot going on. We have a lot of anxiety and depression issues with a lot of people. We hear about it all the time in the news, and there's a lot of issue with that. I am, one person doing what he did was not great, but the multitude of people who made comments in the threads that were there about the whole Josh situation, to me, that's a lot more damaging to this league and to society in general for people who don't know him and don't know what may or may not have been going on in his head, to just wish the worst on him, to say that, oh, if I knew where he lived, I'd go to his place and beat the shit out of him. And it is the lack of any kind of understanding and just the base anger coming out immediately in something that you're typing up. If somebody told you, face to face, hey, Josh lied about this cancer thing, your reaction would be, holy fuck, what the hell was that about? When you have time in front of a keyboard to type something out and you still key out vitriol that's so negative that you're wishing someone physical harm, that to me is a huge problem with a lot of people in this league, apparently, from those streams that we saw, who took the time to write something out and still couldn't do anything but wish the worst on him. And to me, that's the saddest thing about this whole story. We have a lot of people in this league who may have as bad or worse issues psychologically than Josh, who showed it in a lot of their postings. And to me, that's the most disappointing thing of all of this.
I agree with you. And there's young kids in this league as well, and you don't start really thinking that you don't know everything until you're probably unless you're pretty mature, until you're about 20, 25, I'd say. Mm-hmm. That's when you start realizing, like, oh man, I really don't know shit.
Right.
And when I was younger, I was the same way. I was like, oh fuck, I know everything. Like, whatever. This person's dumb. This person's this person's that. You don't know everything, and you don't become more self-aware and more aware of other situations until you experience more stuff and you see some things. So I can see why people are doing it. I understand that they could see that that maybe it's, he's always scammed us out, this and that. I wish this and this, whatever. At the end of the day, say what you want. It doesn't really help anything. Right. It doesn't do anything. And it is what it is. It happened. You can't change what happened. You just kind of look past it and go, okay, well, for in the future, maybe I be more hesitant to, it's unfortunate, but be more hesitant to maybe donate for a cause like this or
sure.
To see something happen and go, oh yeah, we'll just throw them in or this or that. Maybe find out more information first, and that happens.
Yeah,
you can't always get all the information. I personally am more of a cynic of an individual and more paranoid. Not paranoid is wrong, but just suspicious of things. So I didn't donate, and it just kind of is what it is. I kind of live by the rule of every good deed doesn't go unpunished. So it is what it is. He's gone.
Coming back,
that's it.
Coming back to what Sibs was saying, though, I do agree that, in the shop box and stuff like that, to go to the point to, threaten, let's all be mature, guys. I mean, it's all right to voice your opinion, but do it politically correct. I understand that, people are angry about it.
You realize you're possibly asking like a 13 or 14-year-old to be politically correct and be mature. Like, you can only ask for so much.
Yeah. Point. But again, just to watch at that point, because then what can that happen? It could be other people getting banned for, voicing their opinions of, threats and such things like that. And it's, you don't want to go that route either, right? It's a fine line. It's all right to, indicate that it was a bad situation. We all agree upon that. Was it a situation that we would have liked to not have happen? Absolutely, 100%.
Sure.
But it is the situation that happened, and we're going to work on it as the league is working on it to, try to fix out the situation as much as they can. There is certain things that are going to be able to be getting done and not done. What was done right off the bat, he's gone. He's banned for 3 seasons. That's it. Merci, bonsoir. Elle est partie. He's gone.
Right.
At this point, like you said, we have to move on. It's a situation whereas, we don't know what was going through his head at that point and being what was the reasoning? What was his personal situation that, made him to go to that point to, say these situations, like, saying cancer. Like, I mean, I had family members pass away from cancer and stuff like that. It's not something to joke about.
Right.
When you see somebody at the hospital, for 3-4 months, and unfortunately, leaving this world with this disease, and but it's not something to joke about. Cancer is not funny at all, and it's nothing like that. But we all have to be a little bit more justifiable on what we say back on those options. You can vent, absolutely, but threatening and such things like that, in either case, you're threatening to deaf ears. Are you even gonna, nobody's actually gonna process that, right?
Yeah,
right.
And to that extent, I kind of also want to jump in on that, which is, I'm not gonna ask a 13 or 14-year-old to be politically correct or be mature, because that's basically talking to deaf ears too. Just remember that if you're threatening someone in this league, on either Discord and or on LG, you're probably gonna get banned too, because that's also against the rules. So just don't be a dumbass. Yeah. If you enjoy being here, don't be a dumbass. That's all it really comes down to.
Exactly. We're a community to have fun, play video games, and build chemistry and have fun, talk with the boys, and just win some games. And that's what the reality of what it is. And the league is there for that. It's gaming, right? It's league gaming. It's right in the name. So we're all here to have fun. We could bitch and chirp at each other all you want. It's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
But keep it to a certain level. I mean, again, like you said, don't ask for 13. No, but in this case, if you want to get banned, you want to do that, go ahead. That's why the bots are there, and they will process it at that point. So all I'm trying to say is, you don't have to push it that far, And like I said, what would be the point to go that length? Are you even going to do anything about that? Let's not go there.
Right. Yeah, it's still a gaming site, folks. I mean, when you're starting to, you're starting to address people directly and threatening and all that. Yeah, it's just it's idiotic. I don't know.
Get banned, bro.
Yeah. All right, guys. So listen, thanks for joining me today, and it's going to be hopefully get you guys on with me this week, and we're going to try and cover some of these games live on at least Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll get you games 5 and 6 if there are any in these series, and game 7s will be on Wednesday. So games 1 and 2 Sunday, 3 and 4 Monday, 5 and 6 Tuesday, and game 7 on Wednesday if there is a game 7 in any of the series. So we're not going to cover games 1 and 2. We'll let those slide by tonight, and we will this week we'll be on air on Tuesday, Wednesday. If need be for Game 7, but we'll cover those games. We have an interview with LG McDonald on Thursday, so with all that broadcasting, it's a little bit too many days for me to do. So I gotta take care of some other stuff as well. So the next round we'll try and do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then we get into the semis and the finals. We'll try and cover those games live. So good luck to all the teams tonight. Any final words from you guys before we take off here?
The season's over, and I'm free, bitches.
It's playoff time.
I'm free, bitches. Not under there anymore. I'm done. No more of that nonsense. Goodbye, devil.
Oh, nice. Well, thanks everyone for joining in to PSN Hockey on LeagueGaming.com. You've been watching AHLPSN this week, our round 1 preview of the playoffs. Thanks to Advanced and Matty Lucci. And we will talk to you folks next week. Again, same time, Sunday, 2 p.m. We'll talk about round 2 and review round 1 as well. Take care, everyone. Have a good first night of the playoffs.